Hello, welcome to another episode of Cotton. And today, my guest is Mr. Salman Khurshid, who was former External Affairs Minister of India and who is also a very eminent advocate and a senior Congress Party leader. So he represented Congress Party in the state funeral of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and which was really a momentous event. More than 100 representatives from different countries attended this funeral, and it was a historic event. So I'm very happy that you could spare time to speak with us with Northeast Now today. Now, my first question to you is, so what was your experience? How did you feel it? How did you experience the whole thing? This state funeral of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Well, I think it was difficult to find the right word. It was impressive. It was stunning. It was incredible. It was a sense of history, a moment of history, and to be part of it, obviously, is awesome. Tremendous sense of awe, and the dedication and devotion of his huge number of followers, large number of people who turned up, the processions that were held in his memory as the funeral proceeded was absolutely remarkable. The precision, the discipline, the dedication with which people surfaced and people came out into the streets. No sign of any police arrangements, no sign of any form of enforced behavior, etc. Just voluntarily people coming out and just expressing their feelings for their lost great leader was absolutely remarkable. And the number of countries that were represented and large number of people from India who had come on invitation or otherwise was really absolutely stunning. And for me, it was really a learning experience, just as it was an opportunity to show some solidarity with the people who had lost their remarkable leader.
Now, the two things actually come out of it. One is, uh, see, we saw the visuals and the participation of people, massive public mourning, and but then what does this event, this funeral, mean for the people of Iran domestically?
Well, what does it mean for the people of Iran is the people of Iran were in a moment of self recognition and self discovery. When you lose someone so dear to you and somebody who matters so much to your country and your people, you have to come to grips with that loss. And with beyond that loss, you have to be preparing yourself for the future. And I think that solidarity and the sense of resistance and the sense of self faith is something that was widely apparent in amongst all the people that we came across, including dignitaries, well placed people in different levels of government, various people who came from across the globe and came to pay their tribute to the departed leader. So it was a moment of rediscovery, it was a moment of affirmation, it was a moment of self recognition, it was a moment of grief, it was a moment of identifying with martyrdom. These are all very noble thoughts and very noble feelings, etc. And we were there in a moment where this was quite apparent and was widespread amongst the people who were mourning.
So that means this Iranian people, they were all united in actually offering their, you see, uh, condolences to the late uh, Ayatollah Khamenei, and there's that you have experienced, that you have seen, and what is its implication so far the uh, international community is concerned. What is its implications in the international, you see, scenario?
Well, I hope it gives a sense of reality, because there is all sorts of reporting. When there is conflict and when there is difference of opinion, uh, newspapers and the media report from different angles, etc. But this is the ground reality. And when this ground reality emerges before the world, I am sure that the world takes note of it. The world can't ignore it. It takes note of it. So for anyone who may have thought that Iran is a pushover country, that Iran is now completely bankrupt of ideas and bankrupt of armaments, etc., they will now discover, be at that as it may, Iran is solid in its confirmation of its resistance. That Iran is a self-confident nation. That Iran prides itself for what it is, ancient civilization, and repeatedly they spoke about the bonds of the ancient civilization that they have with India. And therefore, obviously, for us, that was a very comforting thought that despite what may have happened, Iran was continuing to leave a vast chain of contacts with India and celebrating its contacts with India and showing gratitude that India had so willingly sent a delegation, particularly delegation that came from the Congress party that I was representing. And of course, there was an official delegation that there's a delegation that came from government of India. And Iran was truly appreciative of the gestures that we made. And I believe that this will strengthen and deepen the bond between India and Iran.
India, of course, undivided India, then the Afghanistan, and then there was Iran. So we have a land connection, and we have also a historical past. Even the see uh, our past connection with Iran, these people coming from Iran and the migrants. So how do you see that situation, that scenario? Our relationship with Iran, India's relationship with Iran.
The relationship is there, and they recognize and honor that relationship. Now, it takes two to clap, right? So
Yes.
we must also recognize that relationship. And the question is, have we done enough in solidarity with that relationship? And if we haven't done enough, has that left some doubt in the minds of the Iranians, etc.? Is a big question. As I said, they showed absolutely complete and total faith in India, great appreciation for India, and and a sense that they wanted to strengthen the bonds between India and Iran. Now, I hope that we will be able to show a similar response from our side, but that time will tell.
So yeah, they were very liberal, and they were very often, and they were very
Yeah,
appreciative of our, you see, relationship with them, which is long decades and centuries old relationship with India and Iran.
absolutely.
Now I come to a little difficult question, that soon after the funeral, reports emerged of the failure of talks between the United States and Iran, despite the signing of a memorandum of agreement. How do you view this development?
Well, it's too early for me to comment. Frankly, it is for the parties that are directly involved. But what our sense and understanding is that there is fatigue in the United States, even amongst the topmost supporters of President Trump, the MAGA supporters of President Trump. There's fatigue as far as this war is concerned. And I believe that Iran is certainly taking a very enlightened position. They don't want, they don't necessarily want to remain embroiled in this battle. They are looking at peace. And I think the terms that they have been given for peace are honorable terms. But of course, there's a lot more to be debated, discussed, which is why 60 days were given. Now, there will be periodic breakdowns, and as it appears that there has been a periodic breakdown, but each time something like that happens, both countries have resolved to get back to the negotiating table. I sincerely hope, for the sake of the world and for sake of India itself, I sincerely hope that the negotiating table will still remain a very strong option for both parties.
Yeah, we have been seeing that for last couple of months that okay, there is tension builds up, and then again this negotiation starts. So I think it is for Iran as well as for the US that there it seems there is no alternative then coming to actually the table of negotiation, and that is I think is also very important for the entire West Asia, and which you are actually answering my questions very carefully with chosen words, and I could understand that.
Yeah.
And it is so I have observed that. But now coming to, you see, a little while earlier you said that okay, Iran was so liberal, so open, actually openly they welcomed us, they were appreciative of us, and the same kind of response the people are waiting, whether from our side we express the same kind of response. So my next question is, West Asia is currently witnessing unprecedented tensions that we have seen for a couple of months, years. As a former external affairs minister, how do you assess the role India should play in the present crisis? That's a very, I think that's there's two aspects to it. One is our uh, past relationship with Iran and
Yeah.
the present scenario. So, have we done enough, or have we responded, you see, properly?
Well, I have some reservations there about how we've conducted ourselves. I think India has a voice in the world, and there are expectations of India. And India has relationships all around. We have a relationship with the United States. We have a relationship with Israel. We have a relationship with the GCC countries. We have a relationship with Iran. We have a relationship with Russia. And of course, we have a difficult relationship with China. But India has a voice, and India's foreign policy has always had a clear element of ethics and morality. It's not only business, it's not just transactions. But unfortunately, it seems of late we have switched towards a transactional mode. Wherever there is a transaction, we seem to be pushed in that direction. There may be some ideological issues as well, but really the trouble is that we seem to be transactional, and those transactions are not delivering to the extent that we should be hoping that they will deliver, and that certainly is true with the United States of America. Now we are living in a world where what the United States of America wants is not readily given by NATO countries, by Europe. There are issues everywhere. And of course, there are very complicated relationships between the GCC countries, the Arab countries, and Iran. Now, where should we stand there and what position we could have taken? I think there's a lot left to be desired, frankly. We should have been more proactive. We have a voice, our voice would have been heard. We decided to keep quiet when things were going wrong in Gaza and in Palestine. We've decided to keep quiet when things began to go wrong as far as Iran is concerned. We kept mum as far as the European conflict between Ukraine and Russia is concerned. We have friends, but you should have the courage to tell your friends that they are doing something that is uncomfortable for you, as indeed the Iranian war has been a discomforting and uncomfortable thing for India and the people of India. And I think we should have had the foresight to ensure that this doesn't happen, and we should have been proactively participating and avoiding this thing to happen. Unfortunately, we haven't done that.
Now, you have said something very important and very significant. You say that we have, as if we have, you see, gone to, so for our foreign, you see, foreign affairs policy is concerned, our foreign policy is concerned, we have gone to the transactional, you see, mode. Now, long ago, now India is much more economically, it is much more actually developed and in a very solid foundation. But long before, immediately after independence, when India was just building itself, and at the time, our economy was not that stable, but we had on moral ground, on ethical ground, we had a very strong actually standing in the world affairs all over the world. Now, one is that only merely depending on transactional thing, and another is that an ethical stand, moral stand. Now, you have said it, but then I would request you to elaborate it a little more.
It's very simple, very simple. You have to subscribe to the view that foreign policy is about self interest. You negotiate in the world what your position should be to the best advantage of your people. No doubt that's not a problem at all. But self interest can be very narrow self interest, or it can be enlightened self interest. Now, we learned from Mahatma Gandhi, and it was followed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, that ethics and morality in the world is extremely important. And we stood out in the world as a country that believed in ethics and morality, because what we believed was true about how we looked after our people at home was also true about how we interacted and interfaced with people abroad. This, unfortunately, has been lost sight of. In the present dispensation, they believe that it's just purely a matter of transactional politics. What I can get from you, what I can give to you, is all they seem to be concerned about. And I believe that lowers India's profile. We have a much higher profile. It lowers India's profile to become like that, and particularly where indulging only in transactional politics isn't giving you the kind of outcomes that you really hope, that you would get the outcomes that you hope. We haven't got those outcomes in the trade deals, for instance, at least in the one that we have with the United States, which we don't know specifically about yet. What it will do to our MSMEs, what it will do to our farmers, we are still not very clear. Now, when Europe, countries like Italy, countries like Germany, countries like France, stand up, UK for that matter, stand up to their senior NATO ally, United States of America, in saying that they will not support an aggressive war against Iran. When they can take that position, what prevents us from taking that position? Of course, the allies who take that position get at the receiving end of the United States of America, but for how long? The United States of America also has to live with them. It can't live in isolation. And the same is true about India. It needs India as much as India needs it. And therefore, India should not have decided to keep out of this business of being able to speak the truth. So be able to speak the truth for the oppressed against a friend is something that we've missed a chance of doing, which is really unfortunate.
Now, I am just going to end this discussion. That before that, as because you have elaborately said these things, two things I just want to remember. Now, Gandhiji strongly supported the cause of Palestinian people, and
So,
and when we were actually not food sufficient, our country was not, we were actually not producing enough foodstuff. And that was the time when, in his autobiography, B.K. Nehru, he wrote that that was the time when it was not, it was the ship to mouth kind of an existence, when if the food grains we received from the US, then we were in a difficult situation. In that circumstances, when Mrs. Gandhi went to the US, and she was so bold, and she established India's self-esteem with the then president of the US immediately after Kennedy's death. The vice president, I do not remember his name.
Lyndon Johnson.
So, and this president, but there was a diplomatic, you see, high tea, and after the high tea, the normal the protocol is that the president, he does not stay for the dinner, but he was speaking and speaking, and then they had to, in a small place, they had to make arrangement, and then Indira Gandhi had to ask him that, are you going to stay for the dinner? He said yes, no problem, and they had to arrange dinner for him. Now that was our prestige, that was our self-esteem. And and at that time, India was negotiating with the US for foodstuff, because we were not we didn't produce enough foodstuff for our people. Now from that situation, where have we come down now?
Well, you're absolutely right. Despite the fact that we were dependent for that short period on food supplies from the United States, we didn't give up the non-aligned movement. We didn't make a compromise simply because we needed food. Why should we make a compromise today when we are much stronger? We have a much larger economy. We are predicted to be the third largest economy of the globe. Why should we be in any way compromised in terms of our sovereignty, in terms of our autonomous decision making? We say repeatedly that we believe in autonomy, we believe in autonomous decision making. But when you look at what has happened in recent months, unfortunately, there is no sign of this in our dealings with these countries.
Well, so I'm really, really very happy and with this interview, and particularly the way you have addressed it, and the kind of, you see, measured words you have used, like really a statesman, a former external affairs minister. And I am so happy and so glad that the moment you received my message, you called me back and you agreed to speak with us. And I hope in future also, when there are certain issues of concern, I would request you and would like to actually talk with you and have further discussion on matters which affect our country and our foreign affairs. Thank you very much for
Thank you, Paresh. Thank
spending
you.
your time with us, Northeast Now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you and good luck. Thank you.
Okay.